I am just setting up here, and I'm going to push this onto the main screen, and I will be talking to some people about a few bits and pieces which I'm going to try and show you in a couple of minutes. Don't worry, I'm here. I'm live. I'm trying to work out what I'm doing. If I could get rid of that, I would. Edit. Oh, maybe I can get rid of that. How would I get rid of that bit? Oh, there you go. Update. Let's see if there's anything else. Right. I'm taking it you're all trying to watch me at the moment, and I'm messing about like a twat. I'm trying to set up and then speak to people at the same time. Let's have a look. Let's see if I can get this down. There we go. For some reason, I look like I'm sitting down in my chair. At least I've got to do something with my camera. I can now see myself. Hello! Don't forget, you wonderful, lovely, beautiful people that watch this show. I'm going to show you something else in a minute. It's going to make you laugh. Well, I ain't going to make you laugh as it happens. I think there is definitely an advantage to England. And I'm going to show people that in a couple of minutes. Let me just see if I can get up there and show you these different bits. So it looks like I'm staring up at the ceiling, and that's probably because I am at the moment. And I'm glad to see all them people out there. Well done. Don't forget to subscribe. And then if you go to Little Bell, because they keep taking our channel down. They obviously don't like us very much. The British, that is. And don't forget to like and share. Liking and sharing is really important. So as I'm watching at the moment, the blue ticks are going up. There's 109 watching and only 50 ticks. So we really want to see some more ticks. And don't forget to share it to social media. Because there's people out there just like us, who think like us, and who think to themselves, why do I want to do this? Flattery will get you everywhere, DD. Ozone 1950 next. Blurry. If I am blurry, just to give you some advice, you go to your settings and click auto, and it will bring up the screen as it should be. It possibly... So what can happen is I'm going out high definition. And not all devices can handle it, and can handle it from YouTube as well, right? So on YouTube, it will have that little thing on there, so you can click on it and it'll take you where you want, right? So there's still other things I'm setting up. Now we're getting there. Look, 76, 77 likes. Oh, I love you people. You are definitely getting a message out there, and that's exactly what I want to hear. Right, so hopefully we're a bit more organised this time. So don't forget, like and share, subscribe, hit the bell button. What I'm going to do now is take that one off and go back to my normal screen. And I'm going to be talking about a few things. Now, I'm not sure. I'm sure you're aware now, but you wasn't sure before the show popped up. There's a by-election in Chesham and Amersham. It seems that the Tory MP for that area died, and they're now looking, obviously, for a new MP. Now, the English Democrats are not standing in that area. But one group of people that are, which is fantastic, are... Let me find it. And I'm going to bring it up on the screen. In fact, I'm going to go up there and see if I can actually get it back on here. It's the Freedom Alliance. I'm not going to go into too many details about that at the moment, but I will be speaking to them shortly. Hopefully, I will have an interview with one of their committee members, or whatever you want to describe them as. Are you all hearing me all right, by the way? Because my levels look really low. So it means I have to talk right into my microphone. Let me just have a quick look and I'll show you what I'm doing here, yeah? What am I doing? Capture screen. Let's go back down the bottom there. Right, so I'm rolling a cigarette as I'm talking to you. Hang on. So, you've got it up on your screen, right? And this is the Freedom Alliance. They actually, there's a lot of what they do ticks the box for me, right? There's some things that don't tick the box, but they seem to have stopped when they were sort of reinventing England. And that's what I need to talk to them about. So, let me just go in and show you this thing. So, candidates. I think candidates are on there. So they're asking for candidates to stand. Recent posts, Amersham by-election. So I'm going to take you straight into that. And there it is. Chesham and Amersham by-election. Freedom Alliance has chosen Bucks, local Adrian John Oliver, to stand for the fundamental rights and freedoms of Chesham and Amersham people and businesses. The good thing is, I like the fact that they're talking about businesses, right? Especially small businesses. Let me have a look on what it says here. In this by-election, he is the proud grandson of two British war veterans. I've got to go on the other side. I can't stay on the same side as him there. Oh, I can't do that either, can I? Oh, blimey. Let's have a look and see who's on there. Okay, so we've got someone. Right, let me have a look and see what they're doing here. Right, so just to let everyone know, next Monday for a live interview, and that's with Jonathan Tilt of this party, and I should be able to have a chat with him tomorrow off the record for about 2:30, so which I'm going to go for. So I'll say, okay. So next Monday night, there's going to be an interview with one of the executives of this party, right? So while we're there, well, let's talk about Bucks, because I know there's a few people out there who want something to vote for. Adrian was born in High Wycombe and now lives in Downley, High Wycombe, after many years away. In that time away, Adrian was elected as a Green councillor. Okay, London 2006. All right, I won't batter him for that one. Adrian is an experienced practitioner and teacher of life alignment, healing, and a courier. Freedom Alliance has chosen Bucks local Adrian John Oliver to stand for the fundamental rights and freedoms of Chesham and Amersham people and businesses in this by-election. And I think they're going to need a bit of help, people. We're not standing there. Like I say, when I go through some of their policies, I really like it. The bit I don't like is they're not geared towards the English. And I think we need a few people to join who are English. And what I'm talking about is people that are English and want our original English system back, right? The Conservative government's restrictive policies over the last year, I've got to say, it's not just the Conservative government, it's the British Parliament that's done it, right? Other than that, I'm not going to, I won't rip into this. Disastrous for the physical, mental and economic well-being of local people in the nation. Absolutely agreed, as long as you're talking about the English nation, because there's other people that can talk for Scotland and there's other people talking for Wales, and I've no doubt there'll be other people talking. It's the British that are the problem, it's the British establishment that are the problem, and we need to resolve that. And we can resolve that if we get everyone thinking the right way, right? And that means that they have to learn to think again and not be told how to think. So Labour, Liberal Democrats and Greens in Parliament have all supported government's agenda and also culpable for the suffering and damage done. Well, do apologise for the last part of the statement. They then corrected it fantastically, and I like that. I am intent on saving as many lives as possible in Chesham and Amersham and reducing the suffering of local people and local businesses. I will speak the truth about what is happening to counter the relentless propaganda and lies from, there's a misspelling there by the way, our government. We all do them. I will signpost the crucial information that is being kept from us, including how we can keep ourselves healthy and highlighting what informed consent should look like for COVID-19 vaccinations. I like that. I am an advocate for our individual rights. If I was there, you got my vote, son. And freedoms, and will oppose vaccine passports. Well done. Unnecessary vaccines for children. Well done. Mask mandates. Well done. The closure of business and schools and the next lock-up of people of the Chesham and Amersham is probably just a few months away. I agree. Unless they do something about it. Unless people start educating people about what's going on. So, he's gone from a greenie, got a bit of common sense, learnt a bit probably on his travels, and realised that they're all the same. Doesn't matter who you vote for, they're all the same. So there he is, standing next to a war memorial. At least he's got a bit of respect for his older generations that fought in that war. There it is, and there is the guy. So if there's anyone, let me just show Chesham and Amersham by-election, that is. So if there's anyone out there who fancies giving them a hand, who fancies helping them out on social media, you can do. And by the way, I have joined this party. I think they need a little bit of education in terms of England and what a wonderful country we are. And the fact that the British are the ones who are seeking to destroy England with regionalisation and have continued to do that. And if they knew the real history and the full history of what's been going on, they would understand. They almost look like they're tripping over themselves to understand it. And I think they will get it, like many people in this country. That is it. Let me just see if there's anyone else out there at the moment. I am getting loads of emails coming through, so don't know what that's about, but I will go back to my normal screen for a second. So you have just seen that. Let me just have a quick look. Let's have a look and see how many people are having a look at there. Stephen Samuels, that makes two of us. Let's have a look. Holding England till I die. Right, so I will come back to that, and I'm going to go through a few things. But this is what I was going to say to you. David Goldsmith, how you doing, son? What did you think of that defence statement that was written up this morning? Did you think that was the dog's nuts or not? They just intend to stop children in the future. Let's have a look. See if there's anything else coming on there. English Patriot 276. I've got a message from them and Adrian will be contacting me soon. Nah. I want to see how well they communicate, to be honest with you. That will be interesting. And it would be very interesting. Let me put it this way. If I can look at someone who was in the Green Party and say, well, because you're standing up for liberty and freedom and you can see the light, there may be, you just need people that just need a bit steering to the right areas in which we're talking about, which I am. Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Caustic, you're not late, darling. Hello, Caustic. Let's go and see how many others are there. Gooner Mum. Hi, Fiona. Still playing up. What's that? Evening, Ray Edmonds. Dave Holden. Hi, Caustic Chameleon. So, just to let you know, that is the situation. And in fairness, they are a new party, right? What I like is if they can be shaped into understanding that it is England that gave us our freedoms. It was England that gave the world our freedoms, that England is the oldest country in the world. There are some arguments about China. I'm not interested in that because it doesn't really stand up, to be honest. One nation under God, 927, England, right? In the actual history of England, the British establishment took control in reality in 1706, 1707. I've said that to people before, but it was when they lost their biggest colony, and it was the British, not the English, or the Scots, or the Irish. Yeah, it was the British establishment that attacked America, and attacked Americans that were basically English immigrants to America, right? And obviously some Irish and Welsh. The point being, they lost in 1776 the War of Independence, and the Americans stood up and said, we want the same rights as an Englishman. America is the big brother of England, right? And that's what people have really got to understand. It's the greatest economy in the world because of that, and it is under attack yet again by socialist, communist ideologies, the same as England. They seek to destroy England, right? So everyone's got to understand what's going on there. So there it is. There is the other party that looks like they're being, and I'm going to go back to showing you some of their policies. But before I do that, well, actually, not before I do that, I'm actually going to show you something. I'm actually going into a few things. Here, there it is. Right, so let me go back into that one, and I will show you what their policies are. So medical freedom is obviously one of them. I think I showed everyone this the other night. But I am literally going to go through this and just show you the bits that I think you should know about this. So there's anyone in... wherever it was, I just showed it again. It's gone off my screen. I'll have a look again in about 30 seconds. Wait 1 second and I'll bring it over to you. Let's go and have a look. Oop, not that one. That one. Get back in the corner again and over we go. Right, so medical freedom. Freedom Alliance is committed to preserving and upholding the principles of bodily integrity, and so it should. Medical freedom and informed consent, wholeheartedly agree. In line with the ethical principles outlined by the Nuremberg Code 1 and the UNESCO Code Universal Direction on Bioethics and Human Rights 2, Freedom Alliance will campaign for your rights to choose what path of medical treatment is right for you and your family. We will work to ensure there are no penalties or disadvantages attached should you choose to decline a medical product or treatment, including medical testing for any reason. Now that is really important, and it's one of the things also, by the way, the workers of England Union would align with this and align with these people in this party, because they are non-political, the union. They just believe in England and English workers, and whether you're self-employed or employed is the same thing. And that, what they're talking about there, affects every worker, whether you're self-employed, contractor, whatever it is, because they could say to you tomorrow, well, we've got a contract with you, you're going to finish the contract, mate, because you won't wear a mask, right? And you could be exempt. But we're not interested in that. We'll find someone else who isn't exempt. That's the type of thing they're going to be doing in the background, and they seek to destroy us, right? So people need to know that. So again, we will work to ensure there are no penalties or disadvantages attached should you choose to decline a medical product or treatment, including medical testing for any reason. Now, I could go and show you the law on that, but I will leave that for another conversation. Whilst we champion scientific breakthroughs that save lives and support the right of any person wishing to receive a vaccination to do so, we will always vigorously oppose any level of vaccination mandate, whether explicit, making a vaccine outright compulsory, or tacit, making a full participation in society conditional on vaccination status. We will also apply the same principle to medical testing. It is an individual's right to accept or decline any medical test as they see fit, and we will work to ensure there are no penalties or freedom-curtailing measures applied to individuals as a result of personal medical decisions. Freedom Alliance is a pro-choice party and does not believe any individual should be discriminated against for their personal medical choice. Absolutely agree. That is spot on, right? Freedom Alliance will also work to ensure medical professionals rigorously adhere to their own ruling bodies' guidelines of informed consent. This is so important, right? When offering any medical product or treatment, including vaccination, doctors in the UK are bound by the terms of the Montgomery ruling, which states the doctor is therefore under a duty to take reasonable care to ensure that the patient is aware of any material risks involved in any recommended treatment and of any reasonable alternative or variant, such as ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, or whatever else is out there, right? The test of materiality is whether, in the circumstances of the particular case, a reasonable person in the patient's position would be likely to attach significance to the risk, or the doctor is or should reasonably be aware that the particular patient would likely to attach significance to it. Judgment in Montgomery versus Lanarkshire Health Board, I think I went through that before. The ruling also notes that frequency or risk is not the only factor that should be taken into consideration, and there's loads more medical stuff on there, and again, there's clicks and references to that, and I think they need to be held to account. I'm not very happy about. Let's go to policies. Freedom Alliance was formed to provide opposition to the government and state overreach that has been facilitated by coronavirus crisis in 2020, and it weren't just then, it goes back a long time. Our primary aim is to provide an option on the ballot paper for those who oppose and object to this government overreach. And that's British overreach, I may say. We recognise that the problems of 2020 are a reality symptomatic of wider imbalances in society. Essentially, government and state have become too powerful, whilst individual liberty and responsibility have been damaged. I agree. We aim to address that imbalance and reduce the role of the state in the management of our lives. Well done. We recognise that society does not work best with structures that there is a role for government. In some areas of national life, we believe that the government should be devolved and decentralised to the smallest practical level, and that direct democracy should be utilised to return decision making to the people. We have developed a number of policies in individual areas. Implementation of these policies would rejuvenate democracy within the four nations of the United Kingdom. And I love the fact that they got the four nations. I'm not interested in the British at all. I have every respect for the Brotherhood of Nations, or if you want to call it the Commonwealth, you can. I absolutely do not believe in the British in any way or form. So again, education policy, the germ global education reform movement has damaged the education of a generation of children, you're not kidding, who have been burdened with high stakes testing and technocratic curriculum designed to measure statistics rather than educate our children. We will put an immediate end to high stakes testing in primary schools. Good. It's not fair on them. Philosophy for children will become the heart of the curriculum in all schools, and you need to teach people the real history, and especially the real history of England, the real history of everything in the world, so there's no bullshit coming out anywhere, and you don't get all of the other stuff, meaning lies. Fundamental principles: government current activities should be financed entirely by taxation. Debt finance should be used only for infrastructure projects. Public expenditure should be devolved to the smallest administrative level. The power to raise specific taxes to fund expenditure should be devolved as well. We aim over time to move taxation towards sales and revenue, away from sales and revenue, income and profits, and we aim to abolish both income tax and national insurance. Taxation policy will be based in favour of employment. Ooh, quite like that. Taxation policy will be deliberately biased in favour of small and medium-sized enterprises. Well done. It will be deliberately biased against large corporations. I agree, because the corporations are causing all of the problems. Well, not all of the problems, but certainly, if you understand what fashion is, it's when corporations and the state come together, and we are currently living in a fascist state. And I can explain that to people. All economic analysis and statistical activity could be produced. So let me have a look at this. There's loads of stuff on here. Ultimately, our aim is that the British currency is backed by fixed assets. Inflation of the money supply will be limited to 3% per annum, and the increase in the money supply will be available solely for the purpose of government infrastructure spending. Financial returns on loans for infrastructure spending will be shared equally amongst the UK population. Blah, 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 blah. There's a load of stuff on there that I'll have a look at later. What I'm going to do, and I don't know if I can show you this. Let me see if this is it. Right. So this is something that I've had on my website for 6 or 7 years. I don't know how long. Value is about location, 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 and England will be the best location for family life in the world with these 6 steps. 1. It would be better for England if our politicians weren't career politicians with no business skills, no job creation skills, and no life experience. It would be better if those who stand for election had work and life experience of those you seek or they seek to represent. The primary goal of any this is me saying this, by the way, so we've switched to my site now, and this is about England. What I tried to create to show people that you want to simplify this as much as possible. It would be better if those who stand for election had work and life experience that they seek to represent. The primary goal of any politicians should be the interests of the people, not a party, not self-interest. And we should adopt a system where politicians get paid by salary, but on results, and the quality of life of the people improve. So it would be literally, the marker for how well your country is doing is quality of life, not GDP, right? That's the way I see it. I think it's fundamentally wrong to do it any other way. The primary goal of any politician in a system, we should adopt a system where politicians get paid not by salary, but on results, and the quality of life for the people improve. If they fail us, we don't pay them the bonuses. Let's see how many would step up to the plate. Well, I can tell you now, it wouldn't be many. Things would soon change for the better, right? All MPs and Lords should pass the test on English constitutional law. That is exceptionally important, right? And I'll tell you for why. Because they're not there, they take an oath not to take our civil rights and liberties and to protect them, and that's not what they're doing. If they fail, they cannot be selected. So if you can't pass a basic constitutional law exam, right, and it ain't difficult, trust me, right, then you can't be selected. England must never be split into regions ever, right, and we all know the reason why. They want to regionalise England because they want to get rid of England, right, and we are the last significant colony of the British Empire, and they are using us as a cash cow, and the sooner we get rid of them, the better, right? So, proportional representation, preferably MMP, mixed member proportional. It is the fairest system in the world. If you win by votes and not by area. The monetary system that exists today is a fraud on the people. Money creation must be created by the government and the people, not private banks. The fractional reserve system, current banking system, is a major fraud on the working people of this country. And then if you see the clip of the video at the bottom, you've all seen it, but I'm going to show it again. Value and wealth are distinct from each other, right? So this is where the philosophy comes from. Value is our sweat, blood and tears. It is a fair society for all. Infrastructure, industry, education, health system, national health service, care for the elderly, care for disabled, care for veterans, right? After what I've seen now, I don't particularly care for the National Health Service. I do fully appreciate that it is a socialist movement, and I believe that its current infrastructure and its current management system needs to be removed, really. That doesn't mean you get rid of hospitals, etc. It means we go back to pre-National Health Service days, and I personally believe that if you're paying some form of insurance, it's up to you where you get treated. Currently, if you was to go and have any form of private medical treatment at all, which is 9 out of 10 times a lot better than anything the National Health Service can provide. Say let's say you wanted a scan. You could go and pay 500 quid tomorrow, you'd get a full scan done. You could just walk in there, they'll scan you, you give them the monkey, 500 quid and it's done. If you then try to take that scan back to the National Health Service, they wouldn't even look at it. They would say that you've started on a process and you need to carry on with that process. I think that's outrageous. Wealth is creating an environment for jobs, environmental sustainability, I agree. And opportunity. Now, when I talk about environmental sustainability, I'm not interested in climate change bollocks, right? But what I absolutely believe and don't like is that there are emissions from cars, and I'm not talking about CO2 or any of that. I'm talking about noxious oxide, which is a cancerogen. I'm talking about incinerators putting dust and shit into the air that we can't see and we're breathing in. There's lots and lots and lots and lots of things to do with air pollution that I believe that is not sustainable. You'll end up suffocating us. There are many other things that I believe that we should be looking at. So that's just part of what I believe. Policing by consent means politics stays out of policing. Bradbury Pound, and this is the bit that's going to be interesting to a lot of people. I have called it the public sector pound, right? So it's the Bradbury Pound. For those of you who don't know, the Currency and Banknotes Act of 1914, it lasted till 1935. It's been used twice in our history apart from that. Once in the Isle of Guernsey, it was called the Guernsey Pound, and in 1795, I think it was 1795, and it was called the Liverpool Notes Act. And basically, Liverpool went bankrupt. Probably because it was under socialist control yet again. So it went bankrupt, and they come with their hand out to the Bank of England. The Bank of England told them to piss off. So they went to the Treasury, and the Treasury issued Liverpool notes in 1795, I'm sure it was. Right, so 3 times in our history, each time it's been shut down by the Rothschilds, just to let you know, right? And that's not bullshit, that is fact. A tax system that works and is proven to work, that is proportional and progressive to a maximum of 17% or optional flat rate. So you could decide what your optional flat rate is. It could be 10%, right? Simplified English tax system, whereas our current system is 11,500 pages and rising. This system is not taken at source, but donated. Now, if there's anyone out there thinking, what a load of bollocks, the best tax system in the world is the Hong Kong tax system, and it's exactly what I've just described there, and it's only 200 pages, and that includes administration. It is the simplest tax system in the world. It is an English tax system. It comes from, or is derived from, the Addington Act of 1803 to 1909, and it is what's known as an ordinance, right? And the person who protected it as much as he possibly could and made, in effect, Hong Kong into what it is today, before we give it back to the Chinese, obviously, was Sir John James Catherwaite, who happened to be a Scot, but he absolutely believed in positive non-interventionism, which is what basically he said to the British: leave us alone. We're doing all right. You ain't changing nothing. Get away from us. And people have built statues to him in China, even though he ain't a socialist and he ain't a communist, and in China itself, in Hong Kong itself. So just to let you know, the Bill of Rights, 1688. This is option 6. Must be honoured, as well as the other 14 constitutional treaties and common law for England, and a completely independent English Parliament. Right. Independent Parliament meaning going back to the way it was. We dissolve or void, I should say. It's really important that you don't repeal the Acts of Union, you void them, and that puts everything back the way it was, and then we can sort everything out from there. And all you need is genuinely clever working class people to take back this country and put it back on a footing of working people earning a pound note, and we'll all look after each other after that. And I do mean that as well, right? England, completely. We need a constitutional laws which were agreed upon, maintained and respected, right? This is, don't forget, this is from my website. I don't know if people want to go and send that to the Freedom Alliance. I don't think this is a bad thing at all, and I think as long as people, you've got to understand what the British have done to us to understand how to reverse it, right? But the protection of children, abuse of children must be the ultimate crime, and that means the ultimate crime is on parallel with murder, right? So you abuse or do anything with a kid, it is the same as murder, right? You have to protect the children, and I'm seeing far too much paedophilia, nonsense, and it's all going on in high levels of different areas to do with all sorts of stuff. Every element is wretched. An allegiance to England, no matter what a person's colour, religion, atheism, or sexuality. In other words, you swear an oath to England, it would be a very similar oath of allegiance as what the Americans done. You can see a little video on my channel the other day, and I showed you that. Politics cannot play any part in religion, and religion can play no part in politics. Justice cannot be part of any religion and must be struck out. War and violence must not be encouraged by any religion. I don't see. I mean, for me, religions are peace and love, and looking at a superior being that created the heaven and earth, right? If that is your belief, then that same superior being does not want us creating wars with each other. To compete with each other, to trade with each other is a fantastic thing. To learn from one another is a fantastic thing. But to keep going into these long and silly wars, it just don't make any sense. No religion may subvert or attempt to subvert human rights, women's rights, children's rights, or animal rights. No form of political correctness should subvert free speech or our Constitution. And that, in particular, is for people out there who say we haven't got a Constitution, meaning England. We most definitely do have a Constitution. And it seems that it's only the elites that are allowed to rely on it. When they want it relied on, they get the tick in the box. When we want to rely on it, it's not. Well, I can tell you now, we have a very, very strong English common law constitution. So strong, in fact, that the Americans adopted it. And because they was a fresh and new country, they codified what they needed. The reason why we haven't got a codified constitution in the way that most people would see it with, a written constitution like America, is quite simple. That as a country, we've been about, and even before that, but we've been a country since 927. We have a number of constitutional documents, and if you look at Germany, it's only been a country, I think, for 180 years or whatever it is. It's newer as a country than what America is. If you look at Italy has only been a country, I think, for about 120 years. And often people don't even know that. They don't realise how old England is. And then when you look at England, you realise that we gave the world the English language, and we gave the world the Magna Carta. The Magna Carta is English, and it was, in effect, the first human rights charter, or the first human right laws. And people must understand that. And if you now look at the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights, if you looked at the two conventions on human rights which we actually signed up to, a lot of what is contained in that is what we give people. So I just want to make sure that people understand that. And I can't believe... Right. No religion may subvert or attempt to subvert human rights. No form of political correctness should subvert free speech or our Constitution. No form of political or religious subversion may take place in educational establishments, and that means pre-infants, preschool, infants, primary, secondary, college, training, or university, right? That means you cannot brainwash people to an ideology. Now, there it says, I am not lying to you, nor were these MPs, and I'm not sure if this is going to allow me to play this. Let me see if it's going to play. Let's see if I can...
One of the most...
I know you've all seen this before. Let's see if I can copy that setting. Nope, I don't want a form set. I need this set. Let's see if I can get this coming up again. Where's that gone? Let's see if I can... No. Right, that's just because it is in Oh, I know where I can go and find that. Let me clear this. Let me go and clear this, and then I'll bring it up for you. So if you want to see, this is fucker. He just said, "Oops." Right? Did you send me something via? I found this notice in my spam file. I thought it might contain a virus, but then I thought I'd ask you if you sent me something first. I didn't. So, Caustic, I didn't send you something via DHL, is the answer. So I suggest that is a viral thing. Let me just go and have a look at something and see if I can bring this up. Because... Stop. Right, what I'm going to do now is bring this screen up onto here. Hopefully you're going to be able to see this. I don't know why it's gone pear-shaped at the moment. There it is. Let's see if I can bring that down again. No. Right, I'm hoping you're going to be able to see what I'm going to see in about 2 seconds. Hang on a minute. I don't know if I need to be on the bottom, but what you're seeing on the screen is there. You have all seen this before. This is 7 minutes long. I'm going to play it to you, and hopefully you're all going to see this, and you're hang on. Yeah, we'll have to play it like that. Touch wood, you can all see this.
One of the most memorable quotes about money and banking is usually attributed to Henry Ford. He said, "It's well enough that people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system, for if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning." It's a criminal offence to counterfeit banknotes or coins, but a banking licence is formal permission from the government to create equivalent money at interest. Now, there are a wide range of perspectives on whether this is legitimate. The Spanish economist Jesus Huerta de Soto explains in his book, Money, Bank Credit and Economic Cycles, that it is positively a fraud which causes the business cycle. Positive Money, a British campaign group, are campaigning for the complete nationalisation of money production.
Bankers, not just rogue bankers, but all bankers, even the best, the most honourable and the most honest, do things which would land the rest of us in jail. The third distinctive feature of banks is that which was highlighted by my honourable friend, that banks create money. The vast majority of money consists of bank deposits. If your bank lends your company £10 million, it does not need to go and borrow that money from a saver. It simply creates an extra £10 million by electronically crediting your bank account or the company's bank account with £10 million. It creates £10 million out of thin air. Banking is fraud. Fractional reserve banking is fraud. It should be outlawed. Banks should be required to keep 100% reserves against the money they lent out. Now, nor were these aspects properly considered when the euro was set up. As a result, they established a currency and a banking system without giving the new central bank the powers to act as lender of last resort. It had to usurp such powers more or less illegally. That's their problem. The noble Lord Howard reminded Parliament, and indeed me, I'd completely forgotten that I was Shadow Chancellor when the bill that became the Bank of England Act 1998 was introduced. And he pointed out that I then warned the House that, and I quote, "With the removal of banking control to the Financial Services Authority, it's difficult to see how the Bank of England remains, as it surely should, responsible for ensuring the liquidity of the banking system and preventing systemic collapse." And so it turned out. And I added, setting up the Financial Services Authority may cause regulators to take their eye off the ball, leaving spivs and crooks to have a field day. And so that turned out too. I could foresee that then, because the problem was not deregulation, but the regulatory confusion and proliferation introduced by the former Chancellor resulting from failure to focus on the inherent stability of the banking system and to provide for it. Now, this failure to focus on the fundamentals...
And last point, which I think is a very important one, sovereign money redresses a major democratic deficit. Under the present system, around just 80 board members across the largest 5 banks make decisions that shape the entire UK economy, even though these individuals have no obligation or mandate to consider the needs of society or the economy as a whole, and are not accountable in any way to the public. It is for the maximisation of their own interests and not to those of the national interest. Now, under sovereign money, the Money Creation Committee would be highly transparent, we've discussed this already, and accountable to Parliament. So for all of these reasons, Madam Deputy Speaker, I believe that the examination of the merits of a sovereign monetary system is now urgently needed, and I would call on the government to set up a commission on money and credit with particular reference to the potential benefits of sovereign money, which offers a way out of the continuing and worsening financial crises that have blighted this country and indeed the whole international economy for decades.
My bottom line on this is really that I want to live in a society where even the most selfish person is compelled by our institutions to serve the needs of other people. And that institution is called a free market economy, because in a free market economy you don't get any bailouts and you don't get to live at somebody else's expense.
I'm very grateful to my honourable friend for getting away, and I congratulate him for bringing this really important subject to the attention of the House. Will he agree with me that this candy floss credit system that the state is presiding over, far from actually shoring up free market capitalism, replaces it with a system of crony corporatism that gives capitalism a bad name and undermines the very foundations of capitalism?
Well, I'm very grateful, Mr. Speaker, because I'm delighted to agree with my honourable friend, and he is, despite the fact that I won't be seeing Nigel later. He's absolutely right.
In effect, they have a virtual monopoly, something like 97% over domestic credit creation, and it is the banks, therefore, which determine how money is allocated across the economy. Now, in a nutshell, the banks have too much power and they have greatly abused it. Firstly, they have been granted enormous privileges, since they can create wealth simply by writing an accounting entry on a register, and they decide who uses that wealth and for what purpose.
I pointed out at the beginning of his speech that this is an issue that is not well understood by members of the public. Well, and I think he was mentioned later on in his speech, but if he didn't, I'm going to add that this is an issue which is also not well understood by members of this House, by members of Parliament. And I would include myself in that, and I suspect most people here would be humble enough to recognise that this is such a complex issue, this banking wizardry we're discussing today, that very few people really properly understand it. And
let me tell you something, people. It ain't complicated. It's fucking simple. It's fucking fraud. That's what they're doing, right? And just him saying that makes me want to go into a rant, because I've got a lot of respect for his father, his late father, right? He's a nice fella, but by saying that, you know, it's so complicated and there's no wizardry about this.
yeah, please.
I thank the honourable gentleman, and I totally associate his comments about ignorance, and I include myself in that. But it seems to me that the system is really broken. The system is broken because...
And there it is. Fraud is fraud is fraud, right? Fight back, fight the crooked banking system, right? Now, I am going to go back to my main screen. So let me get this off of there. Put that back up on there. Put me back on there. I'm going to send that to them people so they understand what it is. Let me get that out of the way. Everyone's seen that. Let's see where we are now. Right, so do you all understand what I've just said and what you've just seen? And hopefully you were seeing that properly. probably helps if I bring the mic back over to me, to where it's supposed to be. Complicated in a 4-letter word is in Kurdistan. Complicated as a 4-letter word in Kekistan. Keck Rangel, you do make me laugh. All right. Lauren Daniel, you need to be better off putting money under the floorboards than the banks. Not really, because money and inflation, if it was physically attached to either the gold standard or the silver standard, which is where sterling come from in the first place, but there's ways in which we could do this, and people don't realise. And again, if I go back to the Guernsey pound, right? This was stopped, I repeat, stopped by the Rothschilds. Guernsey is its own country. It's not managed by the UK as such, right? And they created something called the Guernsey pound, and they separated it completely from the UK pound. A bit like the Isle of Manx has got their own money as well, right? The point being, they issued currency from their treasury, and this is really important for people to understand. It didn't come from the Bank of England, it didn't come from the bankers. And what they said was, we're going to build some schools. I think it was 2 colleges, a schools, an hospital, and some roads, right? And they paid for it because it was infrastructure for society from the treasury. So there was no interest. Right, and it was paid for by something called the the Guernsey pound, which is based on the Bradbury pound, right? Now, people also don't realise that all of that infrastructure is still there in Guernsey, still being used by the community. The roads are still being used by the community. The colleges, the physical bricks and mortar are still being used by the community, and beautiful buildings as well, right? And that was all paid for by the Treasury. With no interest. It has to be paid back, but what I'm saying is it's for society and for the good of society. So that's the way they've done it. Now that doesn't interfere with the rest of the economy. It's a separate element, right? So that's one thing that's really important about it. And again, understand where the Bradbury pound come from and why it come into force. And it come into force over a bank holiday weekend. They printed money. Basically, they was going into the First World War, and they only had, I think it was 6 million or 9 million. I think it was 6 though. I might be wrong on the figure. 6 million of gold bullion in the bank. That was it. That's all they had, right? So they had to finance the First World War, and the way they did it was they used the Bradbury pound. And if anyone looks up the history, it's very similar to what they've done in America, where who was it? Abraham Lincoln. He used something called the greenback, and it was issued by the state, right? And he didn't want to stop doing that after the war, and then suddenly he got a bullet in the back of the head when he was sitting in a theatre. And I think you need to understand how powerful the banks are, because it is a controlling mechanism. That's all it is about, control. Massive to... Yes. Someone's just sent me a message about garlic, and he's got a toothache. He's just got a toothache around his thing. So, that is... I do apologise, I'm getting messages while I'm on air. I am grateful for everyone tuning in tonight. Please, don't forget, if you're not subscribed, subscribe, because it's really important that you do that. So, I am going to show you that again on here. Don't forget, subscribe, share, like, subscribe, hit the bell button. Now, what I have said is I will be talking to the Freedom Alliance about England. Hopefully we'll have Jonathan Tilt, I think it is, who's going to be coming on the show next Monday night, and we'll be interviewing him about the new party, what they think, what they set up, and all the reasons why they're a positive move, right? So, again, about this show is about England. It's not about a political party. In other words, I don't just support the English Democrats. Even if independents stood and waved the English flag and said, I want a completely independent England. And again, you must remember, and again, there's people out there now that are getting this, it is a human right for us, the English, to stand for self-determination of our nation. It is a human right. 2, in fact, articles, and again, I could probably bring them up and show you them on here. I've already shown you before, but I could show you again if you wanted to, if I can find it. And don't forget, it doesn't like what I'm doing here. So I'm going to show you this briefly, because I want people to understand what this is. So it's on the screen, and hopefully you're going to be seeing it on your screen. Let's see if I can actually pull that up. Right, so hopefully you're going to see this on your screen. What do I want to go into? There it is. So I'm going to show you that particular screen again. Put myself down a little. You should see this, and you can go and get this anywhere. But you've got the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and then you've also got another one as well. But the basis of it is, and I'm going to take you to this, so the preamble is realising that the individual having duties to other individuals and to the community to which he belongs is under responsibility to strive for the promotion and observance of the rights recognised in the present covenant, right? So you have a duty to tell people this. Now, Article 1 states, all peoples have the right of self-determination. By virtue of that right, they freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social and cultural development, right? And then the third paragraph, there's another paragraph, but the third paragraph is the states parties to the present covenant, and we signed up to this, and another one that says the same thing, right? Including those having responsibility for the administration of non-self-governing, which is England. England was always self-governing, and then for various reasons, and I can go into the history of it, the British took over that role in Westminster, and that's where it all started going seriously downhill, and that's where the British establishment and the empire and the colonialists and etc. it all went pear-shaped from there, seriously pear-shaped. Shall promote, so they're saying that the party, or the state I should say, which they considered to be the United Kingdom, even though the United Kingdom is not a country, shall promote the realisation of the right of self-determination. So they should promote it, but they're not. If you ever bring up the word England and independence, you are labelled by the socialists who have took control in many ways. You are labelled as far right when it couldn't be further from the truth, right? And again, that's why I bring up the other one above that, which I'll talk to you in a couple of seconds. But shall promote the realisation of the right of self-determination and shall respect that right in conformity with the provisions of the Charter of the United Nations. Now, are the police respecting that right? No. As soon as they see an English flag, you are considered as far right. There are websites out there depicting people as being far right when that is definitely not the case, right? The BBC, all they do is attack the English, and you can see that everywhere and what they're doing, right? And again, it says about calling us far right. Article 17 addresses that. So again, it is your human right as an English man, woman, or child to have your right and your honour and reputation to be protected. So Article 17 says no one shall be subjected to arbitrary or unlawful interference with his privacy, family, home or correspondence, nor to unlawful attacks on his honour and reputation. Well, to call someone far right is, in my opinion, is an unlawful attack on their honour and reputation when all they're doing is standing up for self-determination, which is their human right to do so, right? And then 2, everyone has the right to the protection of the law against such interference or attacks, right? So these people that depict us, the English, the greatest nation in the world, that give the world the Magna Carta, the first human rights charter, the people that are the greatest engineers in the world, that have given the world many, many, many things free of charge, right, that have changed the world, yeah, we are considered as right-wing if we want to stand up for the history and our nation and to show people there is a better way. And the better way is to go back to the way England was. And there is a whole way of doing that, and we will be doing it. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of that before I go back into my normal mode, which is this. We are now 5 minutes past the hour, so I am now going to say thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being with us. Again, I don't do this show literally just for sitting there talking to myself. You lot are the people that make this show, not me. All I do, and I get many emails from every one of you, people sending me emails and different bits and pieces, so it's right. I just want to make sure that you are all aware that I appreciate every single one of you. I am grateful for you tuning in. I am grateful that you support this show, because without you, we couldn't put out the positive about England at least 5 nights a week. And we will talk about the things that they don't want to talk about, right? And again, I want to say to everyone, I don't want anyone to believe that although I'm a member of the English Democrats, that I'll only talk about the English Democrats. Anyone that starts presenting realistic, real freedom policies that return England back to its roots and to its real culture, I'll support them. And if it's about English independence, you know, anyone listening to this on any political party, you better realise the 2011 census, 32.4 million people in England signed the census English only national identity, right? Remember that. The British were a minority in somewhere in the region of 9 million, right? So we are an overwhelming force, and we do not want to use force against anyone. I am not far right. You are not far right. What we want to do is take our country back and give to our children and our grandchildren the freedoms and liberties that our ancestors fought and died for us. And we don't want to be the generation that drops that eternal flame of freedom, right? But it's nearly there, unless we stand up and we take it back. That is it. Mercy, see you all soon. Don't forget what I believe in. The Constitution is the solution. We have a Constitution. It's an English Constitution. It's so fantastic that the Americans adopted it, and they became the big brother of England. And the reason why the British hate the Americans and hate England is the same reason as Karl Marx. When Karl Marx said, and I quote, "Every communist revolution in Europe has been shipwrecked on the rock of England." And he didn't say Britain, the British, Great Britain. He said the rock of England, because we have a common law jurisdiction that gives you the greatest amount of freedom. That's it. Be lucky. Love you all. See you later. And I will be on tomorrow night at 8 p.m. And I'm sure I've got something going on tomorrow. Oh, yeah. There's a court case. Dave, I ain't forgot, son.